What's going on YouTube? Today we're taking a look at a special edition Shirogorov. This is an F3 and it is their newer release of the F3NS Aquatic. So I don't know if I would really call this an F3NS Terrus, NS meaning new style, or if this is just an F3 Terrus. That is still up for debate. I would think it's just an F3 Terrus. But or Terrus, or who knows what that means. My understanding, because the quote rare earth edition is kind of what they're calling it. I thought I had heard somewhere that Terrus, it meant soil, dirt, earth, or something in some kind of Russian translation. But we're going to go over this. I did want to show you guys what comes in the box when you do get these. Very simple. Shiro's not really known for these amazing boxes. They're all pretty simple. But I will open this guy up and kind of just give you a rundown of what's inside. But that's pretty standard here. So it does come with these cool Shiro cloths. Not the best quality or anything, but they are, they are pretty cool nonetheless. And then looks like there's your certificate of authenticity. And what's interesting about these ones is that they're not actually numbered. So the special editions, I don't believe they've done a numbered series on these ones. We don't really know how many there are. The knife itself, I don't think has a number on it. But rumors are that there's about 100 of them, which wouldn't shock me because most special editions are in the increments of 100. So let's just assume, Recon 1 got 100, and maybe overseas got 100 as well. So maybe there's 200. I don't know. But if you just look at other special editions, we know that typically or traditionally they're in increments of 100. So anyway, we'll go down that road. As always, this is a fireside conversation, discussing the knife, discussing some of the things about it. This is in no way rushed or forced. It's more of a coffee shop chat, talking about what I think of it, and if I like it, don't like it, whatever. If you like it, great. If you don't, then not a problem either. So I'm well invested into the Shirogorov ecosystem, and I like the brands, so just remember that I'm heavily biased and an absolute Shirogorov whore myself. Okay, so let's kind of just do a quick overview versus kind of skipping through that. So it is a liner lock, as we see here. Looks real nice. All titanium internal frame that runs the full length of it, which is what you should expect. It is a Techno carbon handle, which my understanding is that's a brand that makes these handles. Looks real nice. Lots of milling. Lots of... it just feels really, really nice in the hand. On both sides, as you can kind of see along the clip here. Same kind of thing. Some ergonomic changes. As well up by the tab. On both sides of the tab, I will say that as well. They have that work. Now, it does have their captive pivot system, which I believe is a patent pending situation, which, as you can see here, is a little different than some of the other Shirogorovs. Before we compare, let's get some action sounds. This is brand new, and this is what it will sound like new. And I apologize, I have a microphone in the bottom left. And I see now that my little bead here is kind of rubbing on the board, so it might sound loud down there. But anyway, let's take some quick measurements. This should be a full size, much like some of their other knives. So we're not going to get measurements with the bead itself. But let's kind of go through this here. Or sorry, let's put it up in the middle. Okay, so we've got, should be right around a 4-inch blade. Yeah, right to the sharpening point, so 95 mil, I'm guessing. And then overall length 8 3/4 is what I'm looking at here to the end of the handle, which is perfect. How that compares in the Shirogorov ecosystem, or how this would compare, let's first do, because I have one somewhere floating around my office. I thought I had a bug out, but I don't, I guess. There's your PM2 for size comparison. Super standard. And oh, there's my bug out there. There's a bug out. So as you can see, it is a full-size blade. It's I would say a lot thicker as well than both of these guys. So if we're looking at the PM2, there you go. And then the bug out, as you guys know, is a little baby knife in the first place. And not even in this conversation, just a size comparison more than anything. How we're looking inside the Shirogorov lineup itself. Well, we've got a beautiful Neon Zero here. Absolutely beautiful Neon Zero. We could do a F95T. And what I try to do is actually line the pivots up to show the size. I think that's probably the best indicator, because that's kind of like a centering point. We have the beautiful 111 as well. So now you can kind of starting to see how this guy sizes in comparison. So quite a bit bigger than the Neon, but same size as the F95 Turtle. As well, we have a Quantum here for comparison. If we wanted to look at that, we certainly can. Now, what I would like to compare it with more than anything is a beautiful, beautiful knife, the Stellaris. I think that would be a nice size comparison up from, let's put these away and not damage anything. That would be a nice size comparison up from the Neon. Once again, trying to line up the pivots, but that would be beautiful little lineup there. I think those look terrific. So we've got small, medium, and large, as we know with the Stellaris. It's kind of an in-betweener. And the F3 is obviously a full size, which looks great. So we'll put a few of these away. Just put that back in bubble wrap and back into its briefcase with handcuff attachment. So let's, now that we've had a couple comparisons, we've seen the knife up against, the standard Shirogorov, the Turtles, the Quantum, the Neon, or Neon. What is the attractive feature about this knife, and what would get you to buying this knife versus some of the others? Well, I guess we could start with the fact that it's limited, and the fact that you're probably looking at about 100 of them is pretty cool. The color. So this is my understanding of it. What they're doing here is they're kind of doing, the first launch of the special edition F3s was the Aquatic. Now the Aquatic was obviously based around a marine environment, being aqua, water. So on that knife they put Vanix Blade, which is a real cool anti-corrosion type material, and they put it on blue carbon handle, which looks great. On this knife, being that it's, quote, rare earth or whatever I think it's called, yeah, rare earth, so they went with the, the brown and gold, black and gold, which is always terrific to look at. Very well done. You are not going to get this level of detail in any other knife, other than their custom division at full customs. But I just find their special editions tend to be, I'd say, made a little bit better from my experience. I don't know why, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they just seem to be a little bit nicer. So you get that cool handle. On the blade, instead of Vanix or M390, you get S90V. Now, I'm trying to, for the love of me, figure out why you go S90V on this Earth model when clearly on the Aquatic you've made an over and above effort to go Vanix. which is a very unique blade itself. Super cool. It's almost like Venix is kind of a Damasteel mid layer. It's just interesting. I'm just trying to figure out and rack my brain why they went S90V. Like if it's Earth, you know, S90V is a very high edge retention type blade. So I'm trying to figure out the point of that, but either way, on a series where that the knife or the blade material has a meaning to it, that is cool. That it's at least a little different than M390 or even M398, which would be kind of cool as well. God, the detent on that is just incredible. If we're looking down the actual knife here, actually, you know what? Is it centered? Yeah, it's dead center. It's a Shirogorov. Feel on the knife itself. This is my first F3. So as you guys know, I've got a number of Quantums, a number of Neons, a couple other RJ special editions, RJMs, and this is my first F3. So this is my first real feel on what this guy brings to the table. And there are YouTubers out there, Metal Complex in specific, that prefers the F3 to the Quantum and to the F95. Now, in hand, I certainly understand his take on it. It's very comfortable. The rolling of the pocket clip, there's no sharp points, anything like that. It is a great feeling knife without any issues. And I certainly respect Metal Complex for what he's done. And he's established himself in the community as a very public figure. And, he knows what he's doing. So you have to respect his opinion. For me, it fits right. I feel like it's a little thick for me. I don't know if that's me or that's just a personal thing or whatever, but I feel like compared to the Turtle's a lot thinner. And in hand, it feels a lot thinner. And maybe this is kind of my sweet spot. And who knows, but I definitely feel like it's a bit pudgy for what it is. It's pudgy for the length of the handle. That's probably what I would say. And that's not a bad thing. Remember, we're looking at the top 5% here of a knife to make it the best. So and this is in no way bad. Like, it fits your hand terrifically well. It's absolutely stunning, but it feels a little chunky, which is fine. The jimping on top should match the backspacer, which is something they're kind of starting to do on a lot of their knives. And I don't know if that's a directive or what, but very wide cut jimping on that blade, which looks real nice. I don't know how usable that's going to be, but I also don't know who's going to be using this daily. Maybe with a work glove it'd be effective. I like that as you go down the blade itself, it kind of has this nice flat spot, and then it flares out on the tip. And just when you're looking down it, it has just a different look to it. It's just got a cool level of precision to it that is a little different than just like a standard grind. That's cool. It's obviously got a nice drop point on it. And then this little tip here, if you're looking at this, is like it's something they're doing on a lot of their blades now. They kind of do this little tip on the top here. I think that looks sharp. It kind of gives it a unique look. Bit of a Russian look to it. It's cool. They've etched the Shirogorov bear on the blade, as they've been doing for a while. And then, like I said, the S90V on the other side. This backspacer, so this is another question that had come up that I was curious about. Are these the same material? The backspacer, as I understand it, is it's a bronze anodized titanium versus a bronze backspacer, a copper backspacer, a brass backspacer, and changing that with a brass, button or whatever. It's like you can do all kinds of different combinations on this, but I think if I'm looking at this correctly, they're matching, which is cool. So it's titanium to save weight, which I appreciate. The bead just looks terrific. I love this. I love the fact that it's not only It's not only the fact that you've got this Shirogorov little flathead, but they've actually done even the locking side of things on the bit here. It's hard to show, but if you can kind of see, there's like a little taper in on the end here. They've made it legit. And then on the other side, a little bear. It's textured. Yeah, it just looks sharp. It's a sharp little bead. Whether it stays on the knife, some people will pull that off. Some people will, I can't believe this, but some people will actually cut that off. That is absolute blasphemy. Isn't that nuts? I wouldn't go that far, but you know, so we've got the beautiful backspacer here, cool bead to match, you know, well put together. I think this knife is screaming to have a leather cord on it, like a dark leather cord. I just think that would be real cool, especially when, you know, it's being an earth kind of thing. I just think a little more natural would be cool there. I don't know if that's important to a lot of people. I don't know how many people are going to use that. I'm not a lanyard guy, as I've said in countless videos, but a lot of people are. So that's that. Going back up north from the backspacer up to the blade here, we've got a nice indent, which is a nice spot for your thumb to rest, both when you are using the knife, if you're not on the jimping, and just in general when you are flipping it out. As you can see, your finger needs somewhere to go. I'm going to hold the bottom here so it's slow, but that's where it will end up, right in the hole. When you're flicking it out, it's all beveled. Beautiful precision. This is the kind of precision that you don't necessarily get on a lot of other knives. And you know, when you get into this price point, the expectations are extremely high. And there shouldn't be sharp spots. There shouldn't be things that don't make a lot of sense. It should be well executed and well thought out. And for the most part, Shirogorov knocks that absolutely out of the park on every knife they do. So there we go. Nice and smooth on the hand. No issues there. And then let's go on to the back here. If we're looking at that pocket clip. This is pretty standard for a lot of the Shirogorovs, I believe. I don't know if it's the exact same, but let's take a look at, if we look at a Quantum here. It's a little different, but you get kind of the same kind of vibe, same kind of feel to it. The Turtle, which I showed earlier. So a lot more in line with the Turtle pocket clip versus the Quantum, with that nice machined and beveled, milled kind of side down here, as you can see. And I've always thought that Shirogorov's pocket clips, they don't give me any issues. Like, they're just so smooth, they're rounded, all the edges surrounding it are all so nice and smooth. They're not flat, they're kind of got a bit of a curve to it, so in your hand, and I'm talking curve both this way as well as side to side, they're rounded off. You know, you look at all the milling around this thing, it's just tremendously done well. It's got a nice little foot on it. Now that foot is to one side. By design, I don't know if that really matters a whole lot. Typically they offset it onto a lock bar, or so it doesn't go on a lock bar, but in this case it's just on the frame, right in the middle. Balance, let's take a look here. It's balanced in my hand, right on top of my finger in the holding position, so equal, nice even balance. And as you'd expect, it's a fingerprint magnet. And I think this might be my first Shirogorov with S90V Blade. I think it is, which is cool, really cool. Lots of internal milling on the inside of this, and for me, I know I've tried showing this in the past, it's just difficult because I've got a huge light over top of this and the camera starts freaking out, but on the inside of this, it is all milled out. It's a thing of beauty. One of these days I'll have to open up some of these to show you just the level of work that goes inside. It's, so you can start to see there. Absolutely beautiful. The backspacer's blocking the light on the other end, but absolute thing of beauty when you open these guys up and take a look. It's just a work of art. They know what they're doing. In terms of the liner lock, Very smooth action, very comfortable. You know, they've beveled the inside of it. Once again, they've raised that one side as well, which is kind of found across the line. And so when they do that bevel, it's nice and smooth. It's beautiful. There was one thing I was kind of confused on this, and that was when I compare it with the 111, which is also a similar locking system. They actually put a little bit more machining work on their little tab here. So when I first ordered this, I was kind of expecting this kind of feel and experience to it. And I was just kind of like, oh, like here you can feel that there's a nice bevel, it's smooth, whatever. Whereas on this, it's almost a different experience, right? It's not as, it doesn't have as much work done to it. I don't want to say less refined, because it's not, it's just different. So, really smooth though. It runs on multi-row bearings. Very, very smooth. And if anyone doesn't know by now, multi-row bearings, think of it as a standard bearing, but instead of it being, you know, a circle for a whole stir of bearings and it's just like a sun around it, think of it as pinwheels, where you have 3 rows off of each bearing spot. I want to say, I think it was 21 bearings or something per, that for some reason that number's in my head. But, you know, 21 bearings, multi-row bearings. It's, funny enough, it's kind of becoming Shirogorov's, like, new standard. You're getting it in even, like, entry-level neons now. Super smooth. And the single-row bearings that are found on the Quantum and some of the other special editions, they're kind of starting to go away. And I like single-row bearings. I think they feel great. They don't feel anything like roller bearings, but that's a whole different conversation. Yeah, anyway. Action's terrific. Absolutely terrific. It's spot on. This thing's going to break in and feel amazing. You know, one of the things that I always like to do is, and this should give you the idea of the camera, the kind of angle I'm looking at. Right now the blade's up at 90 degrees. And it's flat ground. So, you know, the whole thing is, as a blade falls down, you don't want it to be drop shut. You want it to be able to be smooth, controlled, and not just fall, right? And that's the thing, like, multi-row bearings, they've done such a good job of tuning them so that this blade, when it is free held like this, it's gonna stay. But at the same time, if you give it a little move, it comes in so easily. That should give you a pretty good idea there on the action. Super smooth. Just it's a Shirogorov. Like that. You know, it's when you've got about 20 of them, as I do here. You just kind of get used to it. And then you get a different knife and you play with it, and you just go, Shirogorov to me is the gold standard now. It's kind of what I like in the feel of a blade. And you know, this is new. It's not broken in, and it feels like it needs to be broken in, and then the action only gets smoother. And I should also say, right inside here is usually where they place the little MRBS, which I will attempt to show with my little light. Yeah, there it is, right beside the back spacer. If it wants to focus, there we go. You can see it there, MRBS. So, multi-row bearing system. The other thing I was going to say here that I think is so cool is the actual liner of this seems to be matching the back spacer as well. It's a little lighter in color, but they've done a good job kind of contrasting and just making it all work together. Beautiful. You know, one of the things that kind of would separate a lot of these Shirogorovs, remember I was talking earlier about like the milling work. It's not just done on the show side. It's not just done on the other side, the pocket clip side. It's done everywhere, and it's done on the inside of the knife. Like, these are not inexpensive processes to do, and they just do it so well. As far as I can tell as well, the whole thing's put together with hardware that screws into itself, as far as I can see. Unless I'm missing something on the inside, I'm only seeing just the standard here and here on that captive pivot. Super beautiful action. Love it. What else can I mention here that I've missed? It is a stone-washed hardware and pivot, which we discussed already. Titanium pivot collars, which is just kind of cool on the captive pivot system. Looks cool. Flipper tab. I've got a little bit of bite on it. It's not smooth, which I like. I like that there's a little bit of bite to it. And if I'm looking at that right, oh, they're triangle standard. Yeah, it's pretty standard Shiro stuff there. Nothing crazy. It's about a 5-ounce knife, so it's not, you know, the old golden rule is ounce to weight, or ounce to blade length, sorry. So you want to have a, you know, if it's a 4-inch blade, you want to have it to be 4 ounces as a rule of thumb, or 3-inch to 3 ounce. It's a heavier knife, even though it's carbon. It's not, it doesn't feel super light. It feels well balanced. It feels like a 5-ounce knife. It's an absolute thing of beauty. I talked about how it did have milled pockets on the inside, which is for weight savings and for balance, like I said. And it comes with that brown lanyard, which I think would be cool to be leather with a cool little bead. So, I think if I'm right here, that might be all there is to really show about this knife. I may have hit all the little details. So, cool carbon, great clip, good action, multi-row bearings, S90V on the blade. It has that new captive pivot system, which is great. The anodized tie back spacer looks terrific. And it's a special edition. So, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed me ramble on here for 27 minutes, which I think is what we're looking at right now. And if you have any questions, hit me up. I read every single one of them. Leave them below, and I can certainly get to them. But man, look at that! I'm just looking at this right now on a 1-inch screen, and all the little popping, shining colors are just kind of hitting the light just perfect right now. Oh my goodness, just a thing of beauty. Hopefully you like that. Okay guys, well thanks for stopping by. Any questions, leave them below. Like I said, I read them all. So appreciate you as always, and until next time, we'll see you around. Peace.